Mae'Govannen. In today's edition of the Gentle Musings of an Elven Scholar, I'm going to talk about something that has been near and dear to my heart for years as a study throughout human history as well, and that is how to live a long life. In some cases, some might consider it immortality, but how can we do it? So I'm going to basically talk about what is the Elven soul or the Elven light that we have, and how can that be manifested to live a long and meaningful life. All right, I know that's important to a lot of people, so let's get started. I always like to start off some of these with a quote from some of my favorite Elven groups, and this one today is again from the Silver Elves. It goes, "Some people are waiting to live, and others are waiting to die, but we elves have given up on waiting." And that's absolutely true. There are people I have met over the years that they're still waiting to live. In other words, they're waiting for that great event to occur, something that will then make their life meaningful. And I have met many, many more people who are actually just simply waiting to die. It's a very common phrase, unfortunately, in Western society, where you're born, you live, you die. And for many people, that's all that life consists of. And it's very sad to me to see that when life is such an amazing, sacred gift, and it is ours to be the otters of the universe and to go out and explore and learn and grow and experience all that life has to offer us. And another little piece on that picture you might have seen, it says, "Adopt the pace of nature. Her secret is patience." Lane kaundo in Elvish means to slow down. Let's go at the pace of nature. We are moving way too fast. And the faster you go, the faster life goes. And before you know it, it's over. And it doesn't have to be that way. All right, so today I'm going to talk about, I'm basically going to compare the life of an elf versus that of Gollum. And I know that seems like a weird comparison, but they both experienced, or did at one time, experience long lives. The elves can experience a very long life. Gollum experienced a very, very long life. We know from Lord of the Rings that he lived over 500 years, probably between 560 and probably 600 years old by the time it was all said and done. All right, so we're going to compare those two, that yes, you can live a long life even if you don't live a fruitful one. But what manifests by living a life of that kind? All right, so both had long lives. All right, one life lived a life that was when advanced in soul development, the elves, and the other one through artificial means. And in Gollum's case, that was the ring. So let's compare those two. Again, this is going to be a little discussion for this part of it, nature versus artificial. Nature meaning the elves live a long life, Gollum the artificial, and we can see how that will apply in today's world as well. As a doctor, I have seen, with over 20 years of practice, I have seen a lot of long-lived patients. Some of them come in there, and compared to others, they're in their 80s and 90s. All right. The longest lived patients I've seen are those who lived their lives in joy. They found meaning in their lives. They found joy in their lives. They tried to keep themselves pretty much stress-free, and they loved their lives. They loved living them. All right. And then there were other patients, and these unfortunately again are the predominant patients, or those with diminishing lives, that they're basically kept alive through artificial means, and in their case through drugs. So I have seen patients that can live a long time, and those that live the longest, at least in my experience as a doctor, have been those that lived through joy and love and hope and things of that nature. And those with the diminishing lives were those that were sadness. In pretty much every case I've ever experienced treating cancer, there has always, except for children of course, but in adults there has always been some kind of darkness in their past. And darkness, we know through medical research, that can cause or certainly bring about cancer and make one more at prone or risk to it. All right, so this video is going to discuss, so to speak, the structure of an elven soul and how it grows through meditation, service to the world, diet, attitude, and hope. One where life choices are made through love and not through fear. As I've discussed in other videos, life being a coin has two sides of choices. You can choose to make your life choices out of love, or you can choose to react out of fear. I love the cliche with karma. How others treat you is their karma. How you react is yours. All right? So we can choose out of love or we can choose out of fear. All right, I'm going to show you a quick little video of Gollum here. This is obviously a life that was extensively chosen, made his choices through fear. Here we go.
What has it come to? It's nasty little pockets. Stole it!
Pretty angry, huh? I think some people would call that it must be a South Pole elf. Who of you knows what video that came from, what movie that came from? All right, let me know. If you will, post and let me know what movie that came from, please. All right, so how can one live a long, healthy life, a very, very long, healthy life? The number one rule, and I have learned this through many, many years, and I hope that you will take this to heart, is live a life worth living. Live a life worth living. That may sound like an incredibly simplistic statement, but it is so true. I don't mean just to have longevity, but not only longevity, but a life filled with meaning and purpose. There are people, for all intents and purposes, and again, we all have our own paths to walk, and we have to do that at our own pace. But there are those, many, many, many of those who live in this world and basically take up resources and breathe and eat and die. And that's what they do with their lives. We are all here to grow and to advance. And we talked about soul age at one time in another video, and we all have to do it again, as I said, at our own pace. But there are those who would love to live a long life, but they have nothing to live for. I don't mean a bucket list, but I mean, what meaning will your life have? How much better will the world be if and when you're gone versus if you had never been here before? Will you leave this world a better place? That's a life worth living. Make sure that your life has meaning, purpose, and that it builds life instead of tears it down, or at the very least stagnates. Stagnates is a rotten pool. Okay, so Tolkien stated that elves are the best attributes of man, his or her finest and most advanced self, while orcs are man at their worst. All right?
I'm starving. We ain't had nothing but maggoty bread for 3 stinking days.
Why can't we have some meat? What about them? They're fresh.
They are not for eating.
What about their legs? They don't eat those. Ooh, they look tasty.
Get back, scum!
Carve him up! Just a mouthful.
Looks like meat back on the menu, boys.
All right, so that gives you a little bit of an idea. You live a life like that, that's pretty much how you end up. And believe me, I have met people like that before in the past. All right, we are the world in miniature. Heal yourself to heal the world. You know, not trying to wax religious, but Jesus made a comment, and Jesus by many is considered an elven brother as well. Jesus said, remove the beam out of your own eye before you remove the mote out of another's. It is important that we all be in service and that we all help to heal the world, because this world needs it now more than ever before in all of her history. But to be the best servant we can be, we have to be healed also. We have to be able to manifest our light brightly, and we can't do that if we're so shaded ourselves. All right. So again, heal yourself to heal the world. I've seen a lot lately on Facebook where they've been showing, and wonderful that they are, they've been showing a lot of videos and a lot of clips about all the plastic in the world and how it's just polluting and damaging the world, and how it is killing so many of our little brothers and sisters. The fish of the sea, the dolphins, the sea lions, and so forth. How it's polluting the world, and it is a catastrophe. There's literally whole islands of plastic and trash floating around in the world. All right, so heal yourself to heal the world. Here's something else. We can see how plastic we have made our lives as an individual and how it manifests in the world. What we do to ourselves, we do to the world, and vice versa.
Those little family of field mice that climb up sometimes, and they tickle me awfully. Always trying to get somewhere with it. Oh. Many of these trees were my friends. Creatures I had known from nut and acorn.
I'm sorry, Treebeard.
They had voices of their own. Saruman. A wizard should know better.
Okay, Treebeard. He still stands to this day as one of my favorite characters from The Lord of the Rings. You can't get much more in love or involved in the world than if you're a tree. All right, so I have no problem with the term tree hugger. I do it as so often as well. All right, we cannot treat our bodies as garbage dumps and expect our light to shine at its brightest. Look at the garbage dumps of the world. So because most people treat themselves like garbage, it's manifested in the world. Remember what I've said multiple times, please, that what you manifest within yourself, you will manifest outside of yourself too as well. If you're dark, you will manifest dark. If you're light, you will manifest light. If we treat ourselves like garbage dumps, we're going to help create garbage dumps in the world. But if we treat ourselves as light, that is what we will shine out, and our light will shine and will help and heal others as well. I've seen it happen over and over again throughout the years. All right, again, we see ourselves in the world. We are truly one. In Elvish, it's Ilian Naquain. All is one. We are all one. All right, so how does this manifest as an elven soul or the Elven Light? I prefer to call ourselves Elven Light instead of just a soul or spirit, because a soul and spirit is actually a part of us. Consider our Elven Light, our beings, and the best way we can look at it, in my view, is to look at us in layers. All right, and let's compare it to the layers of soil. You have the bedrock, and then you have the other soil, parts of the soil, until we get to the organic part. All right, so if you consider the bedrock as the soul, and then between the bedrock and the organic layer, top layer of the soil, is our spirit, and the top is our body, the organic part of it, so to speak. All right, so we manifest very much like that. And so we have our body, we have our spirit, and then we have our soul. All right, I love the way the Silver Elves describe this. It's, for me, the best I've ever seen before. Because a lot of people will say, what's the difference between the spirit and the soul? Well, they're really, as far as a layer of the same being, the light being that we are, it's best for me to look at the spirit as what we advance as our personal growth. For ourselves to grow, this is, some might consider it the ego. It's me. It's the me part of I guess, of our being. All right, so it's my desire to grow as a being. I've manifested that in my life, for example, as learning how to meditate, learning culture, and learning about history, learning about the world, learning to be a doctor. Those are all personal advancements that I've made for my spirit. And then there's the layer of the soul. Many people stop at the spirit and don't get down to the layer of the soul. If the spirit is the me part, then the soul would be the our part. The soul is the universe. It's taking that me, that spirit, and going and giving in service to the universe, helping others find the me within themselves, finding the true me within themselves. So the spirit is our personal growth. And when we grow enough, the soul is able to mature and reach out and start helping everyone else find that same path and walk that same path and find their awakening as elves as well. Good examples of this, again, we're going to take it from the Lord of the Rings. Here is an example of someone who totally threw themselves into the spirit with no concept of the soul growth.
But the power of the ring could not be undone. It was in this moment, when all hope had faded, that Isildur, son of the king, took up his father's sword.
Okay, obviously, for most of you who know the story, that was Sauron, extremely advanced in magic, and how the universe worked on a physical and mental, and in some ways a spiritual level, but no concept of the soul. He advanced his spirit to a vast degree, but he never did advance, that we know of, his soul to where he now gave of himself to help others grow. I would look at the individual who was able to accomplish that was Gandalf. Gandalf was greatly advanced as well in the spirit, but he was also greatly advanced in the soul, because he was able to give, as he said it, over 3,000 years in Middle-earth to help heal the world. All right. Another really good example, and this is on a more personal level, we don't have to be Gandalfs to achieve that kind of level, here's an example of someone from Lord of the Rings who most wonderfully manifested the soul level, giving of himself to help heal the world. Here we go.
Touch of grass. Naked in the dark. There's nothing, no veil between me and the wheel of fire. I can see him with my waking eyes.
Then let us be rid of it. Once and for all. Come on, Mr. Frodo. I can't carry it for you. But I can carry you. Come on!
Who better than Samwise Gamgee to show what the soul is capable of doing when it gives of itself. Okay, so those are the layers, so to speak, of the Elven Light. Those are what we are created from. How do we advance both the spirit and the soul? Well, that's through, obviously, diet. We want to make sure that we build a clean temple so that what we have shines brightly. Meditation, study, all these things are good for us to do. And one of the most important things that is missing from Western culture, absolutely, and there is study after study being done proving that we have to reconnect, and that's to reconnect back with nature. We are children of the earth. We are children of nature, and you cannot live in a concrete world enclosed within a hermetically sealed building your whole life and expect to be able to be connected with, for all intents and purposes, your mother, with the earth itself. If you live in a city, make sure that you get out into the parks. Make sure that you get out on the weekends and go hiking and camping and things like that. Go walking amongst the trees. I love what Japan has gotten so big into. The government itself now funds these types of studies and has shown that psychologically it does work. And that's forest bathing, getting out amongst the trees. Medical studies have shown that actually getting under trees supports our immune systems, helps with anxiety and depression. Get back with nature. It absolutely works. All right, so what we want to create is a clean vehicle, our body, through diet, through meditation, through coping with stress, removing ourselves from unnecessary stressful environments. Yeah, I know. As a doctor, I know it is difficult for us to completely get ourselves completely out of stress. But there is stress that is in our lives that doesn't have to be there. And we can say enough is enough. And we're not going to have that as a part of our life anymore. We're going to seek out the light more. And we're going to let the darkness come in and affect us. A wonderful example of letting our light shine is, of course, Arwen.
What's this? A ranger caught off his guard?
Absolutely beautiful. And we can do that as well. I have personally seen this before. We truly can shine. All right. So clean the body up, clean the soul up, the spirit up, so that we can shine and be candles for others. Because like the old cliche, a candle does not diminish its light by lighting candles for others as well. Just as an aside, most of you know, and again, everyone has to make their own choice. I am a vegan. I'm a vegan doctor, and I've gone so far as I am a raw vegan. Again, you all have to decide what to do for yourselves, but I wanted to show an example of what can happen with a long life of being a vegan versus not being one, how much stronger the body is. I personally experienced this with myself, how much stronger my energy is and my body is, how clean I feel and how much cleaner my thoughts are by not turning my body into a graveyard. And here's some examples of people and the differences in what happens when we clean our bodies up, from the soul level all the way up to the spirit, from the bedrock all the way to the organic topsoil. All right, so we can be the elven light that shines as Arwen, but we must first manifest it within our own lives. If you want to be an elf, be an elf. Make that choice to be an elf. Begin to manifest it in your life. Every day, try to do something elven. But let the light shine. If you be what you dream to be, we become what we most ardently dream ourselves to be. Dream well. Namaste.